Very good morning, students. Now here we are in our second lecture on Plato. That is, in the previous one, in part 1, we have discussed about Plato's observations on poetry. Now we are going to discuss about Plato's observations on drama. As you know, Plato's comments on drama, they are equally go parallel with his observations on poetry. His observations on poetry, as we have discussed, three important observations regarding poetry have been forwarded by Plato, and just like that one, according to Plato, the representations of drama are as much removed from reality, as much a product of inspiration. They are as much emotional in appeal and as much unconcerned with morality as those of poetry. Means on equal ground, he applies his observations on poetry to the observations on drama. But yet, there are a few more things that Plato wanted to discuss regarding drama or the dramatic creation. So which are these things that deserve the separate notice that we are going to discuss now? The first important observation regarding drama, as has been discussed by Plato here, is that its appeal to baser instincts. Means the appeal of drama to baser instincts. Now what are these baser instincts? The instincts or feelings or emotions, they are divided as good feelings and base or baser feelings. Now, unlike poetry, baser in the sense bad in taste, not good for humanity, not good for anybody, not good for the individual even himself or herself. So these are called as the baser instincts. And according to Plato, or Plato here wants to make you aware regarding these baser instincts. There is one major difference between poetry and drama, that unlike poetry, drama is meant to be staged. And as it is meant to be staged, its approval or disapproval depends upon a heterogeneous multitude. Means a variety of people, a number of different kinds of groups, individuals and people. And as it depends upon this heterogeneous multitude, now the dramatist, as the director and producer of the movie, particularly the director of the movie, just in the sense he has to please all the heterogeneous multitude, all the heterogeneous group, and in order to please them all, the dramatist often introduces what they like. For example, some people will like quarrels, so it becomes essential for the dramatist to include these quarrels. Some people will obviously like lamentations. So these quarrels and lamentations, they are the characteristic feature of the tragedy. That is, the baser instincts or baser feelings, those are inculcated in tragedy according to Plato. And as far as another important type of drama is concerned, that is comedy. In comedy, he introduces, the dramatist actually introduces thunder and cries of beasts to make the people laugh or to make the people ridicule. So, all this arouses their baser instincts of which they themselves will be ashamed in normal life. So these feelings, they are the baser instincts, as they are, that is, the people watch, or they are going to watch through the drama, and just not only the people, the target group, the audience is going to be affected by these baser instincts, but equally the people who are going to play these roles. And as again we move towards Plato's test of good literature, his test of good literature particularly depends upon his observations regarding the individual and the state and their duties, the duties of the individual for the state and the duties of the individuals for themselves, for their own upliftment. And in this sense, Plato here admits that the drama leads to the test and laxity in discipline. And therefore, Plato might have ruthlessly censored these kinds of plays in his days. The second important point regarding drama is discussed here. So what is this? The effects of impersonation. Now these people, the different people, the actors, they play different roles. And Plato's point of view is that by constantly playing these kinds of roles, sometimes drama reacts unfavorably on the actors themselves. Why? How? Plato admits here that by constantly impersonating evil characters like cowards, knaves and criminals, they let these evil qualities enter into their own nature to the detriment of their natural self. And so, acting even of the innocent sort is not a healthy exercise at all, warns Plato. It represents individuality and leads to the enfeeblement of character is the next important point regarding dramatic performance. That is, it represents the individual and in that sense it leads to the enfeeblement of the character. And here, but Plato admits, however, that where the characters impersonated represent the cream of humanity, such as men of courage, wisdom or virtue, the actor stands to gain. Means when the actors are going to play good roles, the roles of the men of courage, the roles of the people who display great wisdom through their actions or who display great virtues through their actions, if the actors are going to perform these kinds of roles, that obviously they stand in gain. By the force of habit, again the same qualities are stimulated in him, that is in the actor. So it is good to play good roles, otherwise those tragedies therefore that represent the best and noblest in life are of positive benefit to the community and deserve to be encouraged. Means what kind of acting Plato wants to promote? The acting that stimulates good qualities in the actor, that is desirable, that is good for the community, that is of positive benefit to the community as well as the individual actor also. And so these kind of actors and this kind of acting are the dramas which display these kinds of great acts of courage. They deserve to be encouraged. The next thing, tragic and comic pleasure. Plato focuses on tragic and comic pleasure. As the name itself suggests, here he deliberates on the pleasures aroused by tragedy and comedy. Now there was a question that baffled the psychologists, that is, what is it in a painful scene that causes pleasure? That question also might have occurred to Plato, and yet we are not convinced about Plato's explanation of the same. So what he says regarding the tragic and comic pleasure, human nature itself is a mixture of heterogeneous feelings, isn't it that? Every human being displays all the qualities, all that itself, human nature is a mixture of the feelings or the instincts like anger, envy, fear, grief and others, many more, and which are no doubt painful by themselves but afford pleasure when indulged in excess. Anything excess is dangerous, as we know. The same thing happens with these feelings also. That is Plato's concern here, that he actually wants you to be aware of these things, that the feelings, any feeling exists, or when indulged in excess, it is going to damage your character, it is going to damage your behavior. It pleases a man to lose his temper or to go on weeping, otherwise he would not do so. So if something is going to please you, losing a temper is going to please you, or weeping is going to please you, then only you are going to do that. Otherwise, you will not do that. So this happens in tragedy, that is the tragic pleasure. In comedy, of which Plato knew only the satirical kind in his days, the pleasure takes the form of laughter at what we see on the stage. A coward behaving as a brave man, that creates actually the critical situation, and that makes us laugh. A fool behaving as a wise man, a cheat displaying himself or herself as honest on the stage during the performance. So these are the types of comic pleasure. The source of the laughter is the incongruity between what he is and what he pretends to be in case of the comedy, that is the comic pleasure. Such a pleasure is malicious in that it arises from the weakness of a fellow man who should rather be the object of our pity. So instead of growing the emotion of pity, if we are going to laugh at those things, that kind of pleasure is malicious pleasure according to Plato. So here you can revise how Plato has discussed his observations on drama, or his comments on drama. He has divided his comments on drama into certain points, into certain sections. That first one, actually he discusses the types of drama which were available in those days, that is the tragedy and comedy. He puts forth these observations regarding these two, not considering other different types of drama particularly, and he focuses on the appeal of the drama to the baser instinct, then the effects of impersonation, the tragic and comic pleasure, etc. Okay, so hope friends you might have understood Plato's comments on drama very well. Now in the next lecture we are going to discuss Plato's observations on style and the value of criticism. The assignment on this topic will be given to you. It will be displayed on the website. So thank you very much.